Hi everyone, I'm Sala Kim. Welcome to the WDSU Hot Seat, where we continue our debates for the October 14th election. Today we're going to talk about St. Tammany Parish Council District 9. It covers East St. Tammany, Military Road, and Pearl River Region and 6th Ward. So 3 candidates qualified for this position, including the incumbent, Mr. Mike Smith, who is here, along with Mr. David Kugel, all Republicans, and also a third challenger, Jason Livingston, qualified, but he respectfully declined to participate in this debate. So gentlemen, just as always, we're going to start with opening statements, 60 seconds for both of you. And since you're the incumbent, Mr. Mike Smith, we'll start with you.
As an incumbent, I have the advantage over my opponents of on-the-job experience, a record of accomplishments, and stated achievable goals for a second term. A priority as an elected official is to be transparent and accountable. I've held monthly town halls in the district, met with individuals and interest groups whenever needed, and taken phone calls at all hours of the day. My opponent has made transparency a centerpiece in his campaign too, yet recently agreed to a debate sponsored by 2 long-standing nonpartisan groups, the League of Women Voters and the Military Road Alliance, where he took the stage, claimed the public's questions, which were being screened by the League of Women Voters, were rigged, and then he left without answering a single question from constituents of District 9. I stayed and answered questions for 20 minutes, many from his supporters, because I practice what I preach, and I don't make empty promises in order to get elected. In closing, I would like to add that I have an endorsement from the Alliance for Good Government and also from the Greater New Orleans Republican PAC.
All right, Mr. Mike Smith, thank you so much. Mr. Kugel, 60 seconds to tell us why you think you're the best candidate for the seat, and you can use the time to respond to Mr. Mike Smith.
Thank you, Sola, and I appreciate everything. That debate he's referring to, the moderator did give him a considerable amount of money, and 4 other candidates did decline to participate. My name is David Kugel. Thank you for having me here. I have a wife and 2 kids. I live in Pearl River. I'm an attorney with 15 years of experience of private practice. I'm also a commander in the U.S. Navy Reserve with 20 years of military service. I'm endorsed by the Parish Republican Party and Crime Fighters of Louisiana. I'm running for council because there are serious issues in this district that have not been addressed for many years. We have a major water crisis affecting over 10,000 people in the Crossgates and surrounding neighborhoods. We have Mr. Smith voting 6 times to bring in a high-density development with clear cutting of hundreds of trees and houses built on top of each other. We have a library system that receives $12 million tax dollars a year and refuses to respect community standards and ensure that children are protected. And we have to start planning for infrastructure needs for the Pearl River area as it continues to grow. I have a track record of getting things done, working together, building coalitions, and leadership from the front, not reactive representation. You deserve better.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kugel. All right, since you mentioned hyperdense development, let's go straight to that question that I had. Mr. Smith, we'll start with you since you're the incumbent and you voted for the Bonterra subdivision. Tell us your position on that and why you voted for it despite residents' opposition. 60 seconds.
The subdivision was, the first phase was through, had worked its way through the government, and it also the administrative government. It also worked its way through planning and zoning. At the vote, when the vote came up, there was no opposition from either planning, zoning, engineering, DOTD, the public. It was passed. At the time, it was supposed to be single-family dwellings. They were going to save the trees. Wasn't going to be hyperdense. Now, at the second time, the other 4 or 5 votes were procedural votes. Again, no one came out in opposition, including my opponent, who is a lawyer. When we got to the second and third phase, by then, rumors had come out that it'd be a hyperdense development, and I tried to find a way to stop it. I spent a year, put it off for a year, tried to find a legal way. Again, DOTD passed on their plan, traffic plan. Corps of Engineers passed on their plan. There was no legal reason to stand on, so I got concessions and it went through.
So are you for the development or against the development?
No one likes that particular development. The houses are pretty dense. They did go down from 250 to 215. They are single family dwellings. I should say that the zoning for that initially was for 450 duplexes, multifamily duplexes. So if you don't have that, then you probably would have had the duplexes.
All right. I remember doing the story, and you told me you voted for it because you were afraid they were going to file a lawsuit, and there would be no way to beat the lawsuit.
We were told we would lose the lawsuit.
Yeah. All right, Mr. Kugel, you want to respond to that, and then you also can tell me your position on
Yes, sure. Phase 1 was not approved until 10 months after he took office. There was 6 votes. Several of them were ordinances that were written. He made a choice when he had those ordinances written. One of them was to expand open space to allow more homes to be built. As well, one of the last votes was the Planning and Zoning Board had determined that they had not met the requirements, so they denied Phase 2 and 3. Despite telling all of his constituents he would oppose this, he instead voted for it. And one of the big issues that is concerning to a lot of people is 25% of his donations have come from companies, individuals, and law firms involved in Bonterra. And you may say you don't have a choice, Mr. Smith, but they clearly think you do. A maximum donation was received by you from the law firm involved with Bonterra, and that you need to explain that.
Yeah, can I give you 30 seconds to respond to that?
The development, the lawyer, the legal firm that handles a lot of the cases, they handle a predominant number of real estate cases with the parish. I've voted against many of their properties. They did give me $1,000. I have 60 donations, 30 of them are from people that gave me $250 or less. Their donations mean as much to me as anyone else. Some are for $50. I've got a wide variety of people, from the teaching field to retirees to ordinary working people, all the way up to developers and lawyers, and none of them have bought my vote.
So he's currently involved in a lawsuit during election season and to stop a development in Covington on the west side of the parish. But when it comes to our side of the parish, he goes against his voters, he goes against the constituents and votes 6 times to bring in a development. And as I said, that is 25% of his donations for this election.
You want to respond to that? 15 seconds.
Sure. That particular development was brought up, and it's a good case of why Bonterra was hard to stop. Okay, that zoning, they fell back on their original zoning for that development. It never came up for a vote because it never came up for a rezone. It never came up for a board of variance. We suspect that they had help from administration getting the thing through, and that was what the outrage was about. That's why people were stopping it. If we had known that this development was going to be this way, which nobody really knew until later, we would have probably tried to do something about it. We had legal reasons to stop that development. We had things to stand on that we couldn't with Bonterra.
Just the next question, 30 seconds for this, because I want to know your thoughts and plans on hyperdense development.
Sure.
I know there's always proposals for projects like this and development on the North Shore. What is your plan? What are your thoughts about it? A lot of residents are opposed to dense development, but the parish needs funding and money. Right. So what is your plan when it comes to hyperdense development? 30 seconds, we'll start with you.
Sure, I oppose high density development. I support nice neighborhoods, nice developments that maintain or improve home value. We need to look at other sources of revenue, which I know we're going to get into the budget in a moment, but I do not support these high density developments, even if they're marketed for the impact fees. I think they're exploitative. I oppose these clear cutting of trees, and that's why I opposed Bonterra. And I would absolutely fight to oppose those in the future, and I will go to court. I'll fight in court if necessary. I mean, but I will not stand by as those types of things are done in our district.
Yeah, and what is your position on it? 30 seconds, Mr. Smith.
Since I tried to stop Bonterra, I found out that we were lacking a lot of ordinances that would give us some kind of legal leg to stand on. So I got a ordinance passed that mandated that they have more green space. There are road plans going in. I think we need a roundabout in that area to help as well. They've got a road plan going in that'll help the area out. I've got a tree, anti-clear cutting tree ordinance that just got proposed. It probably will work through by November or December. That will affect all subdivisions because we did not have that before. And I've got a moratorium on new developments along Military Road until a lot of these things are fixed. There's little moratoriums are fixed.
All right, do you want to say
if I could say, what he's really saying is he cannot or will not stop the next time a Bonterra 2 or 3 comes along. He cannot or will not stop that.
What is your response to that?
I don't know how you can infer that. What I said was that we have to have better legal reasons to be able to stop developments. I have a record of voting against a lot of the developments. One big one that was off Highway 90 that was built by the same company that did Bonterra. So I voted against that one probably because it put about 1,000 cars out on 190 in the morning and 1,000 cars in the evening. So I do have a record of voting against development.
Let's get to budget, gentlemen, because it's so important, and St. Tammany Parish is facing a budget shortfall. If elected in 30 seconds, what is your plan to fix the shortfall, Mr. Smith?
The administration, Mike Cooper's administration, or Cromer's, whoever gets in, has the responsibility to come up with a plan. We did try and pass a tax. I didn't think it would work. I told Mike Cooper I didn't think it would work. It didn't. There is no plan B for Mike Cooper. He has no plan that I know of to fix this budget hole except doing cuts. Cuts would be about 40% in the jail and also in the DA's office, which I don't think are palatable. I do think the sheriff might be able to go out with the tax and independently fund himself from now on and not depend on us, and we could pay the DA.
All right, Mr. Kugel, what is your plan?
I want to
fix the
emphatically
budget?
state I absolutely oppose any new taxes.
Excuse us, we are having a little issue with the alarm, but you
Wow.
are free to go ahead.
Yeah.
30 seconds to tell us what your plan is to fix the
looking at
budget.
the budget proposal for 2024, the projected, you're looking at possibly a $20 million shortfall. There's a decrease in revenue up to possibly $4 million, but an increase up to $26 million in spending, which absolutely makes no sense. We have a spending problem, not a taxing problem. We need to bring the various political subdivisions together and see how they can more efficiently spend the money that the people trust them with. People do not trust the way that we are taxed in St. Tammany Parish. They don't trust how the money is spent, and we see that over and over with them continually rejecting tax increases.
So you would figure out a way to cut corners if you can.
Well, we need to bring all the political subdivisions together in terms of the millages and such, and we need to talk about how we can more efficiently handle the money, because we have enough money. I absolutely oppose new taxes. We have enough money. We just need to be better than how we spend it.
Okay, thank you so much. What is your plan, if elected, to fix the Cross Gates water crisis? And Mr. Kugel, we'll begin with you. 60 seconds.
I appreciate it. This has been one of my major focuses. The Crossgate water crisis affects roughly 10,000 residents. We need to privatize it or look into third-party operation. This has been going on for year after year, and basically we need to get more emphasis on how to fix this in terms of, is it going to be more money? We've looked at more money. They were supposed to be $40 million for upgrades. We find out now it's going to be $5 million for upgrades, and mostly for expansion. A lot of this comes down to the fact that for the last several years, Mr. Smith has not been a leader on this issue. And just 2 weeks ago, the parish president in a forum said there is no water crisis, the water is fine. The only reason that is able to happen is because we have not shown leadership on this issue. If the parish government can still deny that the problem even exists, we have not been using our bully pulpit in District 9 to make this a big enough issue. We need to speak out. If it means getting the media in there, if it means getting the DEQ in there, it needs to happen. But what I've seen is these people have had to do their own job. They've had to rise up, all the citizens in this area, and do their own work to make this important. They shouldn't have to do this. This should be their councilman's job. You give me the problem, it becomes my problem, not yours.
Yeah, all right, Mr. Smith, you have 60 seconds to respond to that and tell us your plan for fixing the water crisis issue.
We're at the stage where we need to do privatization. 4 years ago, I told Mike Cooper that he had a sick system and he either had to sell it or privatize it. As long as he's in office, I don't think that'll happen. And that brings up an interesting point. Firing, hiring, strategy, spending, planning, administration, operations, all that comes out of the president's office. I have arm twisted for 4 years. I've met with groups. I'm aware of all the problems that are in the area. I don't think there's anybody in my district that will tell you that I wasn't interested in trying to do something about it. I got a lot of money for it. That money is going to go in for 2 water towers and a new well, which will significantly upgrade the water pressure and some of the water quality issues. Now, to finish that, we need to privatize. So that's about $15 million total. There's going to be some residual money, and these are all from grants. It was from ARP, American Rescue Plan money, which I got from the council, and then let them leverage to get the money, and that will give us the towers. It'll also give us some residual money to start rebuilding the sewage system, which is about 30 years old and needs to be rebuilt.
I know you want to rebuttal, but you only have 20 seconds. We're running out of
I will
time.
say I've talked to person after person in the Cross Gates area that does not feel he's taking care of this issue. We also have the issue, I made videos of these lift stations around the area falling apart, and until I make a video and post it online, nothing happens. We should not have to shame our government into doing its job. That's not how things should work. People have had to rise up on their own in order to deal with this issue because their councilman has not been involved.
I've been heavily involved with this thing from the minute I got in. I've had numerous meetings. We filed a report with the council. It's about this thick. We've had the media in quite frequently. The one person that hasn't been there was Cooper or administration. And actually, my opponent doesn't live on the water system and wasn't interested in this until he started running for office about 6 months ago.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Cooper is not here to defend himself. So let's move on to the next question. And it's got to be the final one. The library issue, the most controversial issue, one of the most controversial issues. What is your stance and position on the library issue? Mr. Kugel, we'll begin with you.
Well, as you know, I support reasonable measures on controlling the access for children to these harmful materials in the library. We've had since the late 90s or so, rated R movies are restricted by ordinance in St. Tammany Parish. It seems like we can do the same thing here. The issue is that Mr. Smith keeps voting for these unvetted activist members on the Library Board of Control, and they continue defying the community standards of the folks. And he has run from this problem when we have tried to solve it. And I'll give you an example. Back in February, a grandmother went before the parish council and begged them to do something. Mr. Smith asked for recess, then he turned his back on her and walked out of the room. I am not going to run from this problem. I'm going to fix it. We're going to make sure community standards are met. We can do this because we need a strong library system in St. Tammany Parish. And I'm confident I can get that done.
Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. 60 seconds.
Go back and look at the tape of the meeting. I did not call for the recess. The chairman of the council, Jake Airy, did. Okay, the library was not on the agenda, and so it could not be talked about. The woman's mic had been cut off. We had been sitting there for 3 hours. I got up to go to the bathroom. Okay, that has been spun in a way to make me look as negative as possible. Okay, we have had opinions from Warren Montgomery, the lawyer that he assigned to us, that we could not legally take the library board out, replace them, simply on the basis of we did not like their decisions. He also made a determination that the materials involved that had been challenged were not obscene. They didn't fit the obscenity law. I would prefer, personally, that any objectionable materials, and I've said this from the very beginning and been very consistent about this, that those materials be taken out of the juvenile section if they're sex ed, have graphics in them, or objectionable in any way as far as sexual matters go. But we do have to follow the law, and we don't have the right to just summarily dismiss the library board at this particular time.
All right. I know you want to rebuttal.
Sure. So the issue is his library appointments, which he just appointed another one in June, do not agree with what he's saying. So, I mean, you have to follow the facts. This is an Attorney General's opinion from February that says you can remove library board members. And I worked with a state representative to get this opinion. They've had the ability to do this since February. Livingston Parish has already done this, and I verified today they have not been sued. There is no concern about them being sued. And regarding him walking out on that woman, he is the one, you can hear it on audio, asking for recess to be called, and then the chairman asked. And he did not return. He did not return after that. He was absent for the final 2 votes. That is not the way I'm going to deal with controversial issues when I'm your councilman.
Do you want to respond to that, Mr. Smith? I'll give you 20 seconds.
He just walked out on a debate, so I'm not really sure how he can claim that he's being responsible.
Well, this moderator hasn't given you money.
Okay,
so
the moderator was free. We're free to give people contributions if they want to. Okay, but you claimed on the stage that I was getting endorsed by the organization, and that the organization look at the tape, had given me thousands of dollars.
Well, they have.
They don't endorse.
The leadership
and
has.
the organization does not give money. The
leadership gave you.
All right, gentlemen, and the videos are online.
That's an individual's right to do so.
Thank you so much. Let's move on to the lightning round. Quick yes or no answers for these questions. Did you support or oppose the casino, Mr. Smith?
I oppose the casino.
He voted for it the first time, and I opposed it.
Okay,
I'd like to rebut.
Okay.
When it came time to put it on the ballot, which is when it really counted, I voted against it. I joined and gave money to an organization to vote against it. I spoke out against it, made a commercial against it, and spoke at my monthly meetings. I did not see Mr. Kugel at all.
You didn't see me. I spoke before the Slidell City Council and before the legislature. I was on the media regularly.
Didn't see you at the
yes,
council.
Yes, you did.
Didn't see you at my meeting.
Okay.
I got involved because you wouldn't get
I
involved.
do take your word for it
You
that
can
you
watch
were
it.
against it.
No,
You
I was
should
in the
also
media.
respect that
I
was against it.
contacted Ms. Kim
Next
about
question. Who are you supporting for parish president, Mr. Kugel?
Cromer.
I would like to see a change in administration. Present administration, yes.
So you want to name a name,
Cromer.
Mr. Smith? Mr. Smith, who are you supporting for parish sheriff?
I haven't. I'm still up in the air about that. I think Smith has done a decent job. I also think Tommy Williams is an excellent candidate. I probably will be going back and forth on that until the last second.
Mr.
I'm friends with both men.
Okay. Closing statements, 30 seconds. We'll begin with you, Mr. Kugel.
Thank you for inviting me to this debate. As I mentioned at the beginning, we have very serious issues in District 9. I will work to fix the water crisis affecting over 10,000 residents. As for the library, I will ensure the library board and library administration follows community standards. I will strongly oppose the clear cutting of trees and houses built on top of each other, and I will work with the mayor and the aldermen of Pearl River to make sure Pearl River is taken care of. We have a budget crisis. I'm going to deal with that, and you need leadership from the front, not reactive representation. You deserve better. I humbly ask for your vote and your prayers. Please check out my website, www.kugelforcouncil.com. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Smith, 30 seconds.
Okay, my background, I didn't get to it earlier, but I'm a teacher, 24 years, also a scoutmaster, so the idea that I don't have children's best interests at heart is ridiculous. Okay, when I started, I had a lot of enthusiasm, about 50 phone numbers. I've got 350 phone numbers now, and I know how to get things done, and I have gotten things done. There's a lot of things we didn't talk about, like economic development, an industrial corridor that's been put together, a new bottling plant that we've gotten in. I think that is the road towards fully funding the government, because I don't believe new taxes on residences or sales taxes will work anymore, and I certainly hope you will vote for me. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Mr. Smith and Mr. David Kugel, thank you for your time. Election Day is October 14th, and we will have you covered on air on WDSU and online, WDSU.com.